Let's get more reaction to the news that Antonio Conte has left Tottenham by mutual agreement. The former Tottenham midfielder, Sky Sports expert Jamie Redknapp joins us this afternoon. How exciting is this? Very good afternoon to you, Jamie. OK, let's first of all get your thoughts. Right
How
decision.
are you, Rob?
I'm good. Right decision for both parties to go separate ways now rather than in the summer.
Yeah, well, I think I said it at the time, Rob, when it was straight after the game against Southampton. I felt that his position almost became untenable. Not so much with the players, because a lot of what he said before to the players. And from what I gather, he's a sort of manager that will say the same things to the players, the same things to the media. I think it was more when he spoke about the culture at the club, having been there and speaking about 15 years. So he can't be talking about the players then, because those players haven't really been there that long. So you can't really blame like that as a problem. So once he said what he did, I felt that, yes, his position became untenable, certainly with the owners. And right now they've got 10 games to go. They'll be scrambling around. They've come to a decision to keep the people that were already at the club in charge and not gone for, say, a Mauricio Pochettino, which I think a lot of people felt might have been a good idea to get them across the line and try to get them that top four place. So what that tells you is Daniel Levy doesn't really think he's the right man for the club going forward.
There was so much optimism from Tottenham fans, I would think, at the start of this season. How surprised are you that they haven't kicked on from finishing fourth? They spent money in the transfer window. That hasn't really come to fruition, has it?
No, but I'm not surprised, Rob. It's a very difficult club to manage. It always has been. If you look at the managers that they've gone for over the last few years, whether you like the style of, say, a Jose Mourinho or you like the style of Antonio Conte, they almost bang their heads against a brick wall. They find it very difficult to ever get any control of that club, because it's very much controlled by the chairman. He wants to make sure that he gets all the decisions, all the players. And I think that's always been a major problem with Tottenham as a club. The culture is always, I believe, set from the top. Having spent 11 years at Liverpool, and I always felt, and we didn't win enough in our time there, but you always felt they were always trying. They were always trying to get in the right players, signing big names to make sure they could give themselves an opportunity to be in the mix to win trophies. I never quite get that feeling with Tottenham, and I think that was a frustration with Antonio Conte. The players that they got in the summer, obviously Richarlison hasn't done it, Basuma hasn't done it, so you can't necessarily blame the chairman for that always, but I do believe that they're never quite in the mix for what I would call the big players, the blue chip players that you want to sign. If Tottenham are going to ever really achieve, I think that has to change. If you looked at their top signings, Richarlison and Ndombele, I wouldn't really call them players that are going to change that whole culture of the club, that are going to go and win you that trophy that you need or compete to win the Premier League title. It's not run like that. It's never going to happen. And I believe that until that changes and maybe you get owners that really want to compete and sign big name players, it's always going to be the same problem, unfortunately.
Did you get the impression it was always going to be fascinating which one came out on top? Conte, impressive CV, but the other side, a history of leaving clubs after being outspoken. It proved to be the latter rather than the former. Was this always inevitable?
I didn't believe so. I must admit, I thought this would be one that could work because of what he's achieved previously. He's a serial winner, Rob. Everywhere he's gone, he did it at Chelsea. He's done it in Italy. He is a fantastic manager. I thought this might be the one, but it certainly hasn't worked. The results haven't been, necessarily good enough, but they're still in the top four. And I think that's what would have, surprised a lot of people. They're in a position where they still can get Champions League. But if you're not going to... if it doesn't work in terms of the manager and the chairman, it makes it very difficult for success. It always has done. And on the field, that has been a major problem for Tottenham for so many years now. Off the field, you can't deny the stadium, the training ground is second to none. But on the field, it just hasn't really achieved in the manner that Tottenham fans, I feel, certainly deserve.
How pivotal is it then that in these final 10 games they do achieve on the field, that they do get Champions League qualification for their recruitment, not just of players, but who fills that managerial role?
I don't think it will make a lot of difference on recruitment, because the players that they're normally in for, Rob, aren't the ones that are going to be thinking, well, I want to be playing Champions League. They've never run the club like that previously, so I don't expect them to do it this time. They won't be in for the likes of Declan Rice, whether Declan Rice would go to Tottenham, because they don't necessarily want to go for the players that are going to cost that much. And you talk about Arsenal wanting to go for those players. I don't think that's Tottenham's sort of style, and it's never going to be, while I believe that Daniel Levy is in charge. And I think if they want to really achieve, it'll probably be the next owners or whoever buys the club, if they do in the future. But I think while the current owners are in charge, it makes it very difficult for you to be vying for those top players, because they want to try and buy a star that might become a star. You know, and it doesn't always work like that. You've got to be in for these blue chip players if you want that to happen.
Yeah, was it inevitable though? I mean, I'm thinking back to Arsenal when they changed stadium, built that wonderful stadium, and then went through a drought period, didn't they? Are we seeing an inevitability with Tottenham that they are going to go through a spell just while they get themselves sorted in what is an amazing new ground? That fans just have to be a little bit patient here, or has the patience run out?
Well, it's been the longest drought in history. They need some rain sooner or later, Rob, unfortunately. And when you look at this, isn't just a stadium. This has been a city. When I was at the club at Tottenham, they was very much the same. I felt that it wasn't really built for winning. I just had that feeling at the club when I signed. It was a completely different culture to what I've been at Liverpool, where you felt that they were always trying to win trophies every single year. As I said, they might not have done, but there was a difference there, and I felt that going to Tottenham, it didn't have that same feeling. So no, I don't think you can blame the stadium. This has been happening for many years. A lot of managers have wanted big players, and they've wanted the signings that they've wanted. But I think when you have you've got to relinquish power sometimes, I think, as an owner. You've got to give the manager the chance, because having 1 or 2 years at a club is never going to be long enough to get the achievements that you want.
Yeah. So let's talk about who could come in. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but what I was reading between the lines of what you were saying is the fact that it's not Pochettino in straight away. Are you thinking that perhaps they've decided he's not the right fit? Is that the way you were seeing it there?
I would have thought so, Rob, but I don't think they really probably know right now. This is a difficult one for them. They didn't expect to happen with 10 games to go, although they sacked Jose Mourinho before a cup final. So it's not. I don't always think there's a direction at times that probably they know what they're doing in terms of where the direction is next. Now, Nagelsmann might be one. He's spoken about he wants a little bit of time away. Maybe he might be the one that comes in the summer. He's obviously got good experience at Bayern Munich. Stellini just taking over right now would suggest that what they want to do is just carry on playing the same system. They want to play the three at the back and just see if they can keep those performances going. While Antonio Conte was away, he got some good results when he had his illness. So they're looking for a little bit of continuity right now. And, I'm not sure that it's a bit of a flip of a coin how that one's going to go down, because they've not really got that managerial experience, but they've got good players. They've got players like Harry Kane that will still manage that dressing room. He'll be wanting to achieve. He'll want to finish in a good season, and a lot of the players still will. So I think right now it's just a case of the players making sure that they do their stuff. This is no real excuse if the manager's not there. You've got to make sure you've got 10 games. Can we get Champions League? They've got something to go for.
We're seeing Harry Kane now on our screens, Jamie. So how pivotal is he in all of this?
Yeah, to be honest, Rob, I've spoken about this a lot. I've got no idea what he's going to do. I think Harry's in a very good position. He's out of contract, I think, next year. He might believe that Tottenham's the right club for him, where he can still, win all the individual rewards he can. But in terms of winning trophies, I don't really see that right now at Tottenham. They might get across the line and win a trophy. I mean, they threw it away against Sheffield United when they picked a poor side without Harry Kane. That made no sense, and that's why I say that Antonio Conte isn't blameless in all of this. But I genuinely have no idea what Harry wants to do. I think he's in a position, where he can have in 13, 14 months or less than a year, he can go through a pre-contract with somebody. I'm sure his negotiators will be talking to clubs. Clubs will already know the situation. That's how football works. We bury our head in the sand and say it's not. But he'll have plenty of options because he's a world-class player. In terms of where could he go, I felt that Man United might be the option. Or does he just want to achieve things at Tottenham? But while there's this chaos at the club, it certainly doesn't help the cause of wanting to keep your star player, because every year you're getting a new manager in. He's probably thinking, well, what's the point of this? You know, you need some continuity, and that's conducive to success.
Yeah, he's going to be 30 this summer. And even for Harry Kane, as wonderful as he is, the sands of time will eventually catch up. This is possibly his last chance, is it, this summer, to make a move if he's going to?
I would say so, Rob. Yeah, this is his big opportunity to go if he wants to. He's a Tottenham fan, he adores the club, and there's no doubt it'll be with, you know, if he does leave, it'll be with a heavy heart. But it's got to be something that you would feel that you're not really in a strong position to negotiate if you're Tottenham, because obviously he's only got a year left on his contract. So it will be fascinating to see how that one develops. But right now, you're bringing in managers. It felt like Tottenham tried to make a move to bring Jose Mourinho to get that trophy, almost to a certain extent for Harry Kane. They brought in Antonio Conte to get that trophy, hoping that will keep Harry Kane. But the fact that these two managers that are serial winners haven't worked, that then you start to question, well, who can actually win at this football club? Because it's the potential is there, but it's just not being realised right now. So there is a lot of changes that seem to happen, and the culture at the club doesn't seem to be right in terms of being a winning mentality. So I do believe that might be a situation where even if you're a manager, you might think, well, right now, why would I come there? You know, the only good thing as a manager is you come in, you get sacked, and then you get paid. All the managers must think this is a great laugh coming to Tottenham, but it shouldn't be that case. You should really be building something special. A little bit, unfortunately, for Tottenham fans, what's happening up the road at Arsenal, where you can see a real plan, a real direction, whereas at Tottenham, it just feels very chaotic right now.
Finally, Jamie, will they make a top four this season, do you think, right this very moment in time?
I would have said if Antonio Conte hadn't had this problem, I would have said probably yes. But, you know, Newcastle, I'm sure, will be loving this news. Liverpool will be loving this news. Everyone that's in the top four race will be, and it's given players to a certain extent a bit of an excuse if they don't. But they owe it to the fans, they owe it to themselves. They all want to play in the Champions League, so it's I think Newcastle have games in hand, which is going to be vitally important. They've got some tough fixtures coming up. Do you know what, Rob? This is a 50-50 call. Of course they can, but I wouldn't like to bet on it right now because of the clubs that are chasing them. So I think this is really good news for the other clubs in and around them. But can they finish top four? They did it last year, so there's no reason why they can't this year.
I'll tell you what isn't a 50-50 call. The joy of speaking to you, Jamie. It's always 100%. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks, Rob.